Did you know that my English teacher's name was Gandalf? Needless to say, he didn't let me pass. Oh, and what happened after Pippin got drunk? He began to feel merry. I have no idea why I needed to start this review with some good old Lord of the Rings jokes, but to be honest, my love for this game is never ending, just like Legolas's quiver of arrows. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but Middle-earth Shadow of War is pretty damn good. What you can expect is pretty much Shadow of Mordor plus a few new features to make it even better. I love Lord of the Rings, I love the prequel to this game, and I love Shadow of War. All around there's a lot of love. If you're into action RPGs with awesome gameplay, look no further. Okay, you asked for it. One more joke. Why can't you enter Sauron's lair? Because there's always one more door. And that's exactly what you'll be doing, trekking around Mordor trying to put an end to Sauron and his army. Shadow of War continues the narrative from its predecessor Shadow of Mordor, and this time around things get a little more interesting. There's a much larger focus on the story this time, and most of the time these events worked well in progressing the plot. Lord of the Rings fans may either love or hate the story. It's basically a fan fiction set in the Lord of the Rings universe. Some people may love the familiar setting and the rich lore, but others may question this interpretation of the Lord of the Rings universe. I mean, remember that giant spider who feasted on our favourite little man Frodo? And by favourite, I mean our fourth favourite. Sam, Merry and Pippin were way cooler. Anyway, that giant spider is now smoking hot. Yeah, that's Shelob. All in all, there are some pretty kick-ass moments that take place through the plot, like riding on dragons or fighting a freaking Balrog. Unfortunately, the final act of the game, Act 4, just becomes an absolute grindfest with next to no story. The game really needed to end after Act 3, and its purpose seems to be entirely to get inside your wallet, but more on this later. And I've got to give a special thumbs up to the Uruks or orcs that you encounter. Some of these Uruks have loads of personality, and with their excellent voice acting and dialogue, meeting and interacting with these characters can be very memorable.
Well, that was quicker than I thought it would be. I thought there'd be a lot more taunts and threats, you know, what do you call it, banter back and forth. Seems to me that's what's missing from most fights these days. Everyone's so keen on bashing each other's brains in, they hardly say a word to each other. Interesting that, isn't it? What do you think? I don't care what you think.
Alright, the main reason you'll be playing Shadow of War is for the gameplay. It's basically the same as Shadow of Mordor, but with a few more options such as the glaive attack, which knocks down all surrounding enemies. There are loads of ways to take on the hordes of Mordor. You could fearlessly leap into the center of battle, play a ranged game, stealth your way to victory, or even destroy everyone on the back of a wild creature. This is a really great system. Being able to climb up anything like the parkour champion that you are and swoop down from above never gets old. There are a couple of small issues that I had, however, such as the inability to attack my intended target due to there being no lock-on system. Often I would try to land a final blow to an orc captain, but I would instead hit my allies. Also, trying to select a target to drop down and kill is very difficult if there's more than one enemy in the area, but at the end of the day these issues are kinda small and the system overall is pretty awesome.
I'm gonna tear into you, and I won't stop until you're in little pieces. Those pieces will be annoyingly hard to pick out of my teeth. But it'll be worth it to see you dead.
This time around, the explorable areas of Mordor are split into 5 distinct regions, but unfortunately they all felt quite similar to each other. Each region has their own army of procedurally generated Uruk captains, which ensures that your opponents are unique every time you play the game. This is called the Nemesis System. These captains are a load stronger than all the other enemies scattered around the world. Each captain is distinct in appearance, has their own strengths and weaknesses, and taking them on will require some strategy. For instance, after gathering the intel, I found that this particular captain became dazed after being shot in the leg with an arrow, so that's the way I chose to initiate the fight. Side narratives will also begin when you encounter an Uruk captain. These could be rivalries between the Uruks themselves, or more personally, a rivalry with you. For example, if a captain kills you, the next time you encounter him, he'll remember you and probably talk trash prior to the fight. You can also dominate captains, which causes them to fight on your side. You'll need to do this in order to take on the fortresses in each region, which is one of the coolest new features this time around. At any time, you can use your army to help you take on the region's fortress. However, you're only going to want to do so if you've thinned out their ranks a little bit. These sieges will require you and your recruits to attack the fortress head on and capture the points around the place. I loved the idea behind this, as running towards the fortress with the army that you recruited and customized is bloody awesome. Overall, the Nemesis system has seen some quality improvements since Shadow of Mordor and remains one of the best parts of Middle-earth Shadow of War. Talion can get stronger by spending ability points on the skill trees. The new improvement here is that each skill has a few sub-skills that can be purchased, but the catch is that only one sub-skill can be selected at a time. This is good in theory, but as soon as you realise how much of a hassle it is to enter the menu and change your skill around just for a few seconds, the frustration will begin. Doing so just slows down the battles too much to be practical. Alright, here's another one for you. Why don't you ask a hobbit for money? Because they're always a little short. They were probably short due to all of the microtransactions. For the majority of the game, the whole market aspect was pointless to me. I mean, you can basically just pay to recruit the most powerful captains and obtain the most powerful equipment. This was the fun of the game in my eyes, and I never bothered doing any of this. However, things began to change a bit at the end of the game during Act 4, where the requirement to grind was significantly increased. So much repetitive grinding was required here just to unlock the final scene to wrap things up. Of course, this is what the developers intended, as this grinding can be minimized if you're willing to pay for it. Stupid Monolith Productions. This year's follow-up to Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor took everything we loved about the original and added several new features to enhance the quality of the game. As a whole, I really enjoyed the game, and if I totally ignored the massive turd that was the entirety of the cash-grabbing Act 4, this game would have been that much better. But that's about all I can negatively say about this title. The Nemesis System is better than ever, and the gameplay is almost always a ball, especially when you bring in the procedurally generated captains into play. Middle-earth: Shadow of War is an excellent action RPG experience, and if you're into this sort of thing, look no further. Now, to finish things up, I would have liked to tell you another Lord of the Rings joke, but all the good ones are gone. This was the world's worst comedian, Hellfire RPGs. Thanks for watching. If you liked this, please support the channel by hitting like and subscribe for more RPG content. See you next time.